Okay, so we're gonna jump right in. So one of the two most biggest obvious things that are different from this RPG and other RPGs, you can choose whether it's region locked or everything levels as you go. Levels as you go is gonna be more like Skyrim. The customization is also a little bit comparable to Skyrim, such as like just the facial features and just the general style, gender, color of the hair, eyes, things of that nature. It's all pretty standard. But when it comes to these features, you can even customize the horse, and then you can also just change anything that you really want to do into the role play aspect. Now for the purposes of this video, I really don't change a lot. The only thing that I really change is that I make sure that this team, they can all know first aid, and that they all have some extra experience there. So that clever trait, and I only pick one because I don't want them to have a negative one as well. I'd rather play through the game, and then they can gain those traits naturally. And again, the funny thing is here that you can even customize your horse, which I think is pretty fun, and you can even have them in battle. Combat is pretty straightforward, so your stats correlate directly to what you're able to do on the battlefield. Your strength and dexterity are going to affect how much damage you do depending on what weapon you're using, as well as your movement, how far you can move throughout the battle space. And then the diamonds at the very bottom are going to dictate what kind of abilities you can use per turn. And then you're also going to be, as you're leveling up, you're going to be getting some more of those diamonds, and you're also going to be getting different abilities that will be able to generate more of those. So as far as stealing goes, you can have one or multiple people specializing in that. And then so here we have a shopkeeper, and so it tells you how much suspicion you're going to generate. So at the very top you see I have 0, so if I were to steal something from here, I would get some more suspicion. Now the guards will actively start looking for you when you have 100 or more. And so if you go over here into the tavern, you can talk to the informant, and these are basically the main quest lines. So unlike other games where you have to pretty much just run into the main quest and you just railroad it into it, you can either just take care of all of that right away, or you can go ahead and start doing all the side quests and the grinding and stuff like that. So you can do that at your leisure. So with the informant, you can either steal those things and then you'll start off those quests right away, or you'll be able to just find them throughout the campaign. Now another thing that I like here is that, for example, with refugees, they're not really worth just killing or stealing from. But if you go to these different merchants, such as this one over here, you can actually get your specialist, your thief, to go ahead and nick some stuff for you. And then after that, you can even murder them so that there are no witnesses. But it's still going to generate the suspicion because you are a thieving, murdering scoundrel. Okay, so when it comes to your missions and mini games, you can also go over here. So this is going to be like your bread and butter for making gold and generating influence. Influence is also going to help you not only later on negotiate better prices for these different contracts, but it will also affect different things that you can influence in the game. So when you are sometimes trying to convince a character to do something, you'll be able to use that. And also when it comes to leveling up, you're going to be using influence for that. Now when it comes to these mini games, so for example here we're looking at mining. It is pretty much the same for mining and wood chopping. So you just got to get that circle until it goes green, and then you're able to mine for more experience and more loot, and then you might actually get some bonus luxury items through there. When it comes to fishing, if you've ever played Stardew Valley, it's pretty much the same thing. So you cast your line, and then you have areas that you're trying to not get that little fish, that little icon right there, and you want to keep them in the middle so that you can actually reel it in. And then you just rinse and repeat. So about every hook, you'll be able to get about 3 fish. There is a special hook that will allow you to get up to 2 fish per catch. And then there's also different ways that you can upgrade your character and your fishing ability to get even more fish and possibly get some other loot besides fish from fishing in the water. Okay, and now here comes one of my favorite, which is the crafting system. Now, I like the actual crafting the items. It's just that this mini game, when it comes to crafting a lot of items, let's say you're trying to deck out your whole party and you got about like 8 to 20 people, 30 sometimes people play with up to like 50 characters on there. And you have to equip them all, and so you have to make them all. So what a lot of people do here, and myself included, is save scum. Just save and just keep hitting it there until you get like that golden medal, and then that's about it. Now it gets really annoying when you have to do that for like 50 troops, but I digress. And then over here we have the wood chopping. Like I said, this is very similar to mining, almost identical, just has just a different fluff around it, just different presentation. But essentially you want to get that orange circle within that gray area there until it turns green, and then just time it so that you can level up and get your items and experience. And the last mini game that we have here is lockpicking. So I just sped it up here just for time. But yeah, it's essentially like Skyrim. You just keep feeling it out, and any of these other games that make you use a lockpick in order to unlock it and get the loot that was being contained inside. And so here we go. We took that, and we can just go. And that's about all the mini games there. Now you may have noticed that my more elite troops were wearing a type of blue armor. Now that's called ghost armor. So you can also fight ghosts here. And so as I'm showcasing here, the best way to farm that is to spawn the boss. So what you do is you kill everything in the first round once you get these in a forest, and then bam, that's called a nightmare. It'll get like another reinforcement or two with it. And now you can, when you kill it, you'll be able to get even more materials. When the troops are low level, they won't be able to do anything with this. But if you combine this with smithing, it'll pay off. And also, it's when you're grinding like the first couple of levels, it's really good practice, not only for your abilities as a player, but also to level up your troops. And then you'll be able to just stash away those furs so that when you can actually craft these, when you get your smithing leveled up a little bit more, you'll be able to gear up your troops way earlier than they're supposed to. That'll give you an edge. Okay, so one of the things that this game does well is that when it comes to the law, right? So you can either pay a fine, you can either shift the blame on somebody else and essentially make them a scapegoat, and then you can also just fight to the death. Now, when it comes to fighting Johnny Law, it's really not a good idea to let too much suspicion get up to you, because you can get up to 6 levels of suspicion, but each corresponding level will have more troops leveled up looking for you. It'll also increase the amount of search parties and patrols that are out looking for you, and also it will increase the aggression that they have towards you, because, well, you are killing their brethren. So here the game really shines because you can use all these different tactics: choke points, support by fire, indirect fire. You can use utilize that dead space. You can use different abilities. You can use smoke bombs and things like that. There's all kinds of different things that you can use here, and also utilizing the terrain to give yourself an edge. And also, not only can you out level them, you can outclass them, and you also get these cool animations when you slaughter them. So this is all the stuff that we get when we are killing Johnny Law. We can even use their own weapons and armor against them, which I think is pretty cool for a role-playing aspect. If you want to ambush them as well and you're wearing their own armor, you can just pop out of the woods as they're walking around on these dirt paths. Just be aware that they also can walk through the woods. Now, another thing as well that I love about this game is that, so as you can see here, I want to avoid those lawmen down there, that patrol. Scale down the mountain, right? So you're trying to see where you can get it to work, position it. So in this case, I'm going to go down there since it's not allowing me to go straight down. I'm going to go right here, and then I'm going to make another one here, so that if in the future I'm being chased up, I can just duck into this corner and either escape up or down the mountain. Now, if you're going to be a criminal, it's actually very essential that you have many escape routes, many different ways that you can shake the law, because sometimes you'll accidentally steal too much, or after you kill a patrol, you're definitely going to get more suspicion. So you're going to get a lot more heat than what you intended, right? And so that's what's happening over here. So we were trying to get to the main town, and so there was patrols over there, and a patrol has spotted me here. So now I'm going to try to go back the way that I came. Now that patrol to the north to the northwest is actually coming back, and so yep, and I tried to stay there to see if the other patrol would go towards the tower, and they are not. And we can't even escape down to the south because there's another one there. However, here we got a little lucky, and we're gonna stay hidden here just long enough. And it does look like these are pretty big parties that are coming after me. So what we're gonna do is, now that we've lost them, we're going to go back here and we're just going to get lost. And then we're going to use our different escape routes so that we can continue ambushing merchants, and also being a genuine nuisance to everybody. Now, crime doesn't pay all the time. Sometimes your guy gets brutally murdered. I mean, you can exercise revenge immediately and also murder him back. However, your guy has been taken out, and this will affect your party. So this scene is actually from later on when you are back at camp. So when these different characters actually build up relationships with each other, friendships, and even romantic relationships, their death, their sickness, their concern for that other person will affect their daily life. It will affect their beliefs. And so you, as a player, if you have enough influence, you can influence this character to stay strong. You can influence them to do different things, and so you just weigh the pros and cons of all the things that you have there. And again, you just got to be careful, because sometimes crime doesn't pay, and they'll have a funeral. And so that is just like a really quick look at Wartales. I've essentially put in about 120, 130 hours at this point into the game, and I still have a whole other county to do. And there's just like a whole lot of different leveling up. There's a lot of replay value, especially when it comes to the different storylines that you can choose, the different directions that you want to go, the different morality. I mean, you can really be a genuine piece of shit. I mean, I really love that you can just be a straight up bandit, a straight up assassin, a straight up merchant of death, and the game doesn't punish you for it. It'll punish you if you do that badly, which is really freaking awesome, because other games, it's just kind of like a side note. It's like, yeah, you can do all this other stuff and you can also be a thief. Like, the thief isn't the main thing. It'll be like a thief guild, a thief questline. No, what if you just want to be a bandit? Like, for example, like Mountain Blade, you can go through that, but the game wasn't really designed for you to be a bandit, but you can be as a side thing, as a level up thing, as a stepping stone to a different part of the game. So here it's the main thing of the game, it's the main theme, it's the main motif. And the game does it really well. I really enjoy this game. I hope that you will too. It's one of my favorites, and I'm really glad that I got to play this game.